So guys, first of all, I'm sorry to have you here. That's the first thing under these circumstances. Obviously, it's not great. Mm-hmm. But also very happy to have you guys here too. You guys have done a lot for us, like throughout the whole process. I guess we kind of got into this thing at the same time.
Yeah.
Roughly, right?
Yeah, I think about 2 months apart, and I think we say the same thing. It's we hate that we had to meet because of why we've had to meet.
Yeah.
But we also thank God that
we have each other in this. Yeah.
You know, knowing that you can't go back and we can't change what's been done, going forward together with you guys has really helped us as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm like, me and Neal have talked about it, and I know Lisa, like we feel like our boys put us together, you know, and just even when I've been meditating in the past and stuff like that, like your son always comes through too. So it's like, he's smiling, he grabs Roman like by his arm and like is like kind of like being a big brother to him, you know, and it's so bizarre how like, and beautiful that they can make those things kind of happen and connect together, because like Neal and I talk every day, all day, and it's just like, he's been a big rock for me, you know, and I know myself for him. So it's been beautiful to share.
It's nice to have somebody to help pull you through too, right? Just because you can't talk to very many people about this stuff and have any kind of meaningful understanding of each other, right? Yeah. That's the thing. Even her mom will say, like, even being the grandma, she still feels like she doesn't really know what it's like to go through this at our level, right? So parent to parent, right? At least we have each other like that.
Yeah.
Well said. Nobody does at our level, right? Yeah. Which was hard it's always hard at the beginning though to watch, you know, the grandparents and everybody hurting and struggling, but also for me at the same time, like knowing that it's not at the level that we are. I can't console them right now because I'm just so far out and we are. So like the ones that we need to console are each other first.
Yeah, you got to lean in on each other a lot, right? Because you two know exactly what it is like to lose Benji specifically, right? Because with child loss too, there's so many different dynamics. Like some lose their kids at 30 to like OD, or, you know, like 17, 13. So it's always a different nobody can even in pain. Child loss, we can't really relate to each other, right? Because our children are unique people, and
absolutely.
Yeah, but we know the pain, right? So do you want to chat about Benji a bit? Maybe you can like let us know a little bit about him and what happened. Yeah.
You want to start?
Go for it.
You want me to go for it? Okay. Crying's loud, right?
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Benji, the best. So when I talk about him, I always try not to say was. Is, right? Because he is.
Still your son.
Still always will be, and he's here. So he's the best. Listen. He is a deviant, deviant side. He liked to have fun. He's, 17-year-old boy, and we know what it was like to be in grade 11 and that stuff. And, kind of a COVID kid where we let him do more than probably we would have if COVID wasn't a thing, just because it was the time. So he knew how to have fun, and he was, or is that kid amongst his friends circle who was like the go-to, like, you want fun, Benji's your guy.
He's like the popular guy in high school, right? Or?
Popular, but not in the sense that I would have known popular, like back in not like the jock, right, and not like the like the coolest guy, but the most lovable,
most loved,
and most likable.
And funniest.
And funniest.
You could see that in his pictures.
Yes. Benji was very funny.
Yeah. When I see you, every time like I said earlier, when I see you guys like family pictures, it's like the personality just flows through them. Like I can already tell like big personalities and lots of life, right?
And that's exactly who he is. And like he was always known, and it was to everybody. Like it didn't matter if it was a kid who doesn't have many friends or a kid who has a million friends, they all loved Benji. So, there's a kid now who's been reaching out to me. He was Benji's counselor at camp to help him with projects. He's doing something on Benji. And he was a young man who, he didn't have many friends. But what he always says to me is like, Benji was my friend. He says like, he's a guy who we would be on a bus and everybody would be bored. and Benji would turn and just make the whole bus laugh and say, "Yo, what's good?" Right? Like, anyways, so that's who Benji is. Like, just shined. How he passed. So another big part of his life, which defined who he was. He didn't have an easy life, because as we know, he had allergies, but anaphylactic. So obviously death or life situations in his allergies, and it wasn't just one thing. Like, it wasn't just peanuts. Not like that's like everything's dangerous, but he was anaphylactic to nuts, eggs, and dairy. Okay. So
it's a big combo. Like, it's
huge.
There's a lot to that.
It's a big combo.
Yeah.
It's a big combo, and it's a big combo. The dairy is the big one for. We'll get into it, I'm sure, but so he had it tough. He was since he was a baby. Like, we fed him. I remember a hot dog at a fair. Remember that?
Yeah. With dairy, there's a lot of fillers in foods that you wouldn't think, like hot dogs.
Hot dog has dairy in it.
It's a lot of them.
Milk powder
Wow.
as a binding agent.
I wouldn't have never thought that.
Who would have thought?
No.
And we didn't know you at that. Like, so, we learned the hard way that you have to read every single ingredient, because, he was in the hospital from things that many or some uncontrollable. Like,
Man, that's
Was
scary.
that like from like when he was like, when did you guys start finding out about
When
this?
he came home, I had him on formula, and it was a milk-based formula, and he was colicky. Benji was colicky for 14 months, but he was really colicky at the beginning. And so we had taken him off no soy, no dairy formula, and probably when he was 4 months old, they diagnosed him with the dairy allergy. And then as he got older, they said, we'll test for the nuts and the eggs and
everything else probably, right? Yeah.
So that's how, but Benj was, you know what I mean? We didn't shelter the kids from their allergies. And we kept the foods in the house, you know what I mean? They knew that when they went out into the world that they, you know what I mean? The world's not going to change for you. You have to adjust to the realities of the world, and you're going to go to friends' houses, and you're going to go places, and you have to ask. And that for us started at home. So he was very aware of what he had to do when it came down to.
Yeah, you would have to do it like that. Like, you can't shelter them, and then you'd be doing them a disservice.
put him in a bubble.
He wouldn't.
It's more dangerous.
When you go out.
Yeah,
right?
and he lived life, right? Like
He lived. He did everything. There wasn't things that he didn't do. There was places he wanted to travel to that we hadn't gotten to, but he did everything that he wanted to do.
it's beautiful. Yeah.
So, in that aspect,
And he wouldn't have had we
put him in a bubble, he would have been too afraid to leave the house.
We had to make a similar decision like this with Bella, because she has a pituitary gland issue that basically if she can run into a crisis, if she gets hurt or something, and we have to be within like a good hospital that can cope with or deal with that sort of issue, and like fast, because she can go into a crisis and she'll just shut down. So I remember early on deciding we wanted a vacation and live and do all these things. And at the beginning when we started, we had everything planned. Actually, we still do. Even in Costa Rica, we planned every hospital that could be in our areas and stuff. But it was a decision we had to make too.
But we understand the not sheltering because of it, right?
No, because this is life. It's meant to be lived.
It's life, and the world around you. Listen, the world's not ready for that type of allergies yet. It's sad. He was more and more. Unfortunately, kids are getting the multiple allergies, and the dairy allergy is becoming more. But the world's not ready for that extreme. And Benji was ahead of his time, unfortunately, on that part.
People look at allergies as hives and itchy.
I know.
And that nobody looks, you know what I mean? Now they say, forget the antihistamines, no Benadryl, no all that kind of
Instant.
Wow.
Instant epi, because epinephrine is it's going to raise your heart rate.
Yeah.
That's all it's going to do. There's no side effects. long-term, they said always just epi because the other medications just mask it, right? So, you know what I mean? People just don't understand enough of what the severity of food allergies.
Yeah, like I have to say, like I wasn't aware either until meeting you guys and hearing your story, right? Because I just thought like, especially when you hear more things about like milk allergies and stuff, you do just think like the hives or your stomach's off or whatever, right? But you never think to that degree. So I think it brings like really good awareness to people, and like the movement that you guys are all doing, you know.
That's a beautiful thing.
It is beautiful. It's at a really high and crappy cost, but.
It's agreed, but it is gonna, I think Benji's death has already saved lives by heightening the awareness. Like we know a kid passing, everybody hears about it.
That's so true.
It travels further than or faster than light, like in terms of people knowing, and then they want to know how, and they learn how, and like everybody, it's like
what greater way to spread awareness than by kind of tapping into what people already organically are interested to know, right?
And so that's how it's happening, and it's, you know, he will save lives, and that will be his legacy. And the world has to get ready. Like there was instances where he was hospitalized. I'm not going to mention the name of the restaurant, but I was in Vegas for work. There was a restaurant that he would eat a hot dog from for his entire life. We've looked a million times, no dairy in it, he ate it. We didn't look every single time we went. You assume that
it's the same hot dog.
Same hot dog. Well, during COVID, companies changed, and this is a big chain. They changed their suppliers, and the supplier they chose for the hot dog now had milk. So Lisa had to epi him like 5 times on the drive to the hospital.
For the one time, just because the one hot dog, five EpiPens.
Well, that's the thing. People also like when you do have an allergic reaction and you need an EpiPen. The next time you might need 2. The next time you might need 5.
So you build tolerance to them?
It's not that you build tolerance, but the allergy gets more severe. That's why they say like you won't go into anaphylaxis. Chances of going into anaphylaxis your first bite of something isn't, but the more that your body has taken it, the higher the response could be.
Wow.
That's
so
even
it does
more
opposite
scary
than what you would assume.
Yeah. It doesn't, you don't get desensitized. Like, I mean, there's theories out there.
Sure, there is desensitizing theories up to a certain age, but by the time where Benji was, you know what I mean?
Because not like growing out of it, that type of thing, right?
So you just, you know what I mean? Like he had 5, there was another incident where he was coming home from somewhere, same thing with COVID, except that they gave him the ingredients to the old, like Benji asked for the ingredients, they gave him the ingredients to the old hot dog.
Wow.
So he read them, he saw it was safe, he ate it, obviously, and he needed 10 by that time, right? Like it's, you know.
You're right when you say the world's not ready for it, because like, I mean, how can you be, especially if that's the standard is. To even have the ingredients is probably surprising in some circumstances, right?
It's hard. Like we go to the States, like a sporting event in the States, and their answer is always no, I don't have the ingredients.
Or it's fine.
Right.
No, it's
like,
fine.
oh, thanks for telling me.
Yeah,
perfect.
I know there's okay.
You're like,
I need a little bit more than that.
I literally had to go to the back, and they let me to look at ingredients, see like.
Wow.
Anyways, so how he passed is he was at camp, at a sleepover camp. He had eaten something with a dairy product. Another thing that a lot of people don't know is dairy, because of the protein, is often a delayed reaction. So he went and played football after, and that's where he started feeling it, and it hit him. It was like an hour and a half after. And that can happen too. So, you know, whatever happened after that, it just they couldn't see it. It was
Yeah.
So that's a little bit about him, and lived a hard life but lived a good one. Had fun.
He made his moments. He to the point that his friends still come by.
Yeah.
Still come by our house, and they go up to, during the Shiva. So after funeral, we mourn for 7 days.
Okay.
And they went up to his room, and his entire room, they wrote on his walls.
Oh man, I just got
Beautiful.
chills.
Yeah.
Right. So, and even now when they come over, they'll just go upstairs and they'll sit in his room
Hang
and
out.
they'll just hang out for a bit and
Yeah.
feel him and you know what I mean, come downstairs. But they're, you know what I mean. We always make talk about things like, oh, and if that Benji wouldn't do that. Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
You
you
know,
just-
but Benji would have.
He's always involved. That's
He
yeah.
was always involved, and it was always something.
What do they say? The brightest flames burn the quickest. I know it's not supposed to be like this, but sometimes like maybe it's like how much energy you put out in the world. This is an indicator of your time too. I don't know.
Maybe. I mean,
who knows?
but he also liked his chill time.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Benj, he's kind of like almost like he
Homebody at times too.
very much so.
Yeah.
To the point that I was shocked that, you know what I mean, so many people had known him and so many people had hung out with, because
It just speaks to how much
Like,
his personality is. When
Right.
he's there, he's
there,
tapped
there.
in.
Puts it all out, and then
Yeah.
he's like, okay, leave me alone.
I need to rest now.
Right.
I picture Benji sitting playing his video games in his room, and he was there a lot. But then all these people came out of the
I think
woodworks.
it's Benji's impact, like literally Benji's impact.
He
You know,
did, and
He's
I
the
would
type of
never. I love my Benji, but I would never have looked at him and thought that he would make the impact that he
kid. That's beautiful.
that he had, like, to the point where, like, that, you know what I mean, his 17-year-old friends are doing fundraisers, are
That's beautiful.
doing all kinds of, making sweatshirts and doing it for Benj. Like, it's
all for him.
it's for him, and I never would. I wish I never knew the impact that he would
Yeah.
make, but it warms my heart to see the impact that he has made in the world.
I think sometimes as parents too, like we don't know the full extent of what our kids do all day out there. You know?
He learns a lot.
Yeah, now you know.
His friends started talking afterwards. We learned a lot.
Even at the funeral, a couple of them spoke and let out a lot. Nothing like
Yeah.
nothing that would get him into like
Kid stuff, man.
kid stuff.
Yeah.
And it was like, let's just say it because like
Why not?
gonna
Why
do it?
not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, let it be known, man.
Right.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
yeah.
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 So, did you guys get like a phone call from like the
So I was
EMS or what
No,
had happened?
I was at work and I got a phone call from the nurse at the camp, and it was just like, something happened. He's not well. We're doing CPR. I was like, what? Right? So I like jumped from my desk. I called Neal. Like literally, like I picked him up. Like didn't stop the car,
Yeah.
and then we started driving up, and got pulled over by the police.
On the way?
On the way, and I'm
For
like,
speeding.
You didn't tell me that.
I'm like, and he stops. He's like, I'm like, there's something wrong
Oh,
with my
fuck.
kid. I
It
gotta
was-
go. I'm like,
Yeah.
he let us go.
Well, he looked at us and he looked at me. He's like, "Is she like telling the truth?" And I'm losing it, like crying, like.
He could tell probably pretty
And
quick.
he's like, "Okay, go." And then I was already feeling this sensation in my, like, it just pins it, like
Bad feeling.
Bad.
Did you almost
Scared.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. To me, yes. Like everything was just that pins and needles, and I started screaming to the cop, like, "Where are you going? Like, help us!" And
And
he
I'm
just
like, no,
left.
He left?
He left.
He didn't like lead the way?
no.
He did not lead the way. He didn't even. It was just all very. I don't know. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Right. So we were driving up and spoke to the nurse a couple times, and then she had called us. We were Lindsay.
We pulled over.
We were in Lindsay, and they said, the nurse called and said, the doctor wants to talk to you. Can you pull over? And I think in my heart I knew at that moment, but we were in a Go parking lot in Lindsay
When you found out.
when they told us,
Oh, man.
and then they're like, we need you to come.
And that was the camp or that was the hospital?
That was the hospital.
The hospital.
So he was in Halberton Hospital. So we had to go.
So we filled up gas because I had no gas in the car, and we got there, and police surrounding him just to keep him.
Yeah. They did that with us too.
Nobody's going in.
Nobody's going in.
That was the worst.
Yeah. So Neal went in. I didn't.
I can't imagine what that drive must have been like.
I couldn't. The last time we saw Benji was Visitor's Day at camp, right? And we had such a good day that day. We met we saw the other kids too, but we met his friends and we fed them lunch and he showed us the ski docks. And I remember when I was walking to where we meet the kids, because Benji was staff, he was helping the cars park, and he left his post. He came over and he had given me a big hug, and that's my memory.
Yeah, you're clinging to that. You want to keep that organic.
Because if I had gone in,
that's your last memory.
I couldn't have that be my last memory. So
I kind of wish that we did the same now, thinking back, because I'm tormented by the day of, and fuck it hurts, man.
It devastates you. I can't what you went through as well, in front of we weren't there for that part, right? I was there when it was over. But the drive, like you said,
that drive must have been fucking terrible. Because maybe that's where we were lucky that we were there and it happened. But then it hurt to see that. But then for you weren't there. But then you had to feel the pain of knowing the whole way there. So there's two different whole.
And we had to bring him. He had to get back to Toronto, right? So
not in our car.
No.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that was funny.
Sorry. Just making sure the audience knows. Yeah. We didn't take him back in our car.
Oh, love
Meet
you.
Neal. No, so they had to move him from the hospital to a funeral home in Haliburton, and then we had to wait there, and then the funeral home from Toronto, or the coroner from Toronto, had to pick him up and then bring him back. So we were up there for
No, so bad.
Where were the other kids?
Home with Lisa's parent. Well,
we are very lucky to have an amazing community and an amazing group of people who poured in that day. They kept, Brooke's friends came, our friends came, they sat with our parents, they took care of the kid. Everything at home was taken, we didn't have to worry about a thing.
Did you feel like you had a major restoration of community in this?
I'll tell you when we felt that. When we got home, when we got home that night, we made sure everybody was gone except for family, but come the next day, it was non-stop. People came, they rearranged my house, they grocery shopped, and then 1,500 people show up at a funeral. Camps are bringing kids home. They said that they had never. What did we beat people? We beat Melasmin. There was, and they.
It's a beautiful feeling too.
That to me, because it was raining that day, and I'm thinking,
it's like right of a movie, one of those.
Nobody's gonna come,
Absolutely.
and
it was.
The sun shone when it was supposed to shine, and then we literally probably had 600 people a day.
Wow.
In and out of the house.
That's crazy.
I don't know. People have said that when you're grieving, you do go through this thing where all of the support leaves eventually, and you're alone, and that's going to happen. And get ready for that. That never happened.
You still have it.
Thank God. Right.
People check in all the time.
That's
people, random people will send us messages. It's sometimes it's hard, but it's
always hard.
Yeah.
It's really warming.
It would be harder without it.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that, we'll never forget Benji.
No.
But, I don't think many people will. One sometimes could say maybe, but I think he's made such a impact. Not only, you know what I mean, he had teachers from school come. You know what I mean? There was people from when he went to nursery school. Like there was so many just people that
meaningful people too.
Like who didn't come just to say I went to Benji's funeral. Or, like people were there who really felt him.
Like supporting, really, sharing love, feeling the pain with you.
Wanted to show because they loved him. Right? Like that was really heartwarming to see.
We felt the same. I had actually been just before that feeling like I kind of lost like hope. I was feeling hopeless and stuff with just like almost even feeling alone, and just because we're so like wrapped up in our own life and everything's been so turmoil for like the last 5 years, and then when this happened I just realized like how many people really care or are there. We had a lot of people come for Roman too, and honestly I was so appreciative of it because it made his funeral beautiful. He had the most beautiful funeral you could have. Like I'll never probably have a funeral like this even, you know.
That's the thing with, you know, with when people pass young, is like the impact's way more profound than when we're like 90 years old.
Yes.
I remember
not that
our
we
friend.
Would want this, but still, it's
there's a natural form of things, and this is not.
It's outside of it,
right? Yeah. And people see it, recognize it. Like I remember when Amanda and I first met, you were doing the toy drive.
Yeah.
And that was huge. I immediately, like when I felt that love for Roman through that initiative and all, like I saw the mountain of toys.
Yeah, a whole room full.
But those are beautiful things because our boys are
working through,
impacting the world.
Yeah. That's it. They're
literally
impacting the world for the better at a time where the world needs it.
Oh, does it ever?
Does it ever?
Oh,
so like,
more than ever.
Right, giving gifts to kids who would not have otherwise had gifts at a time of the year that should be happy, but you look around the world and it's just not. And now you've brought happiness through. Roman brought happiness through.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that to me is, like you talk about giving hope, that's where hope for me comes in and enters in. Is the ability to change the world for the better through these boys.
Mm-hmm. And this is where it makes you wonder, where it's like, you know, without this happening, you know, like I feel for myself anyways, it's like I was just coasting through life. Like I've always had a depth to me. I've always been like more of a deeper person, but it's like now it's just heightened so much to a degree where we would have never imagined it, right? And it sucks again that it's at this level, but it does change the world, you know, and everything. That's a legacy that our boys are going to leave, right?
I was always I think Neal and I were both very like, we don't want to rock boats. You know what I mean? Like something happens, we'll let it go. Don't, you know, and I think now we found our voices a little bit more, right? You know what I mean? Like I'm very like, I wasn't a crier. I wasn't, you know what I mean? I walk outside in the sunshine and go, like just like and I don't care.
Yeah, now I feel I'll cry anywhere now too. Like
I don't care.
Just it'll come and I don't even care either. Yeah, I was never like that.
Because you know what?
Either I did it in movies, but
nothing matters. Nothing else matters.
So true.
Right, and you know what I mean. We've told that to the other kids, and you know what I mean. You do what you need to do, and you don't. You know what I mean, like.
Life is short. You don't need to hide behind anything or pretend.
Braden's obviously struggled. It was his big brother, and he had a really tough time with school. And we're okay.
How old is Braden now?
Braden's 13.
Oh man, what a tough time to go through this.
And luckily, you know, Benji's friends have been really
good to Braden.
Like they take him to baseball games, and they've taken him, and they've done, and every time they see him, and they come watch him play hockey, and. It's wonderful. It's not his big brother, right? It's not his big brother, but you know what I mean. But
it's somebody that he saw with his big brother, and still.
So, you know what I mean. But we're, you know, I think, you know, school's important. Yes, grade 8. You know what I mean. In the grand scheme of life, you know what I mean. I'm not. It's not. I know that when Neal and I finish a day of work, whenever we come home, we're like,
I know,
right? And so. He's feeling it too, so
100%.
Go to school, don't go to school.
Yeah,
we'll figure it out.
But there's so much depth to all of that. Like what I'm saying, like for Bray, he's an anxious kid to begin with, and Like he just was nervous about it. He had this fear of elevators before anything. Like he's just always been that anxious kid, and so obviously this broke him. And yes, you know, certainly at the beginning too, it was like anything goes. We're going to keep him home from school, and as much as you know, he'll make back up school. There became times where we had to push him or to go to school because. You know, at the same time, when you're like embracing what he's going through,
you also have to help him.
Tough love has to be there, and he's not going to see it now, and he resented us in the moment. Like, how can you be pushing me out the door to go to school or to go to an activity? But we had to do it. Like, it was just.
It sucks that the world just keeps turning, man. You know, it does. It's so hard to wrap around that.
And if we get too lost in and let them get too lost in. Just being okay with, you know, being at home or whatever, they're gonna get lost.
It's a disservice. Yeah.
Well, especially their ages, like 13 and 15, like, man, they're such an impactful. You have to make the biggest decisions within those years of your life, and like they have so much pain and hardships at this age, but it's just gonna make them into honestly like tenfold better people because. When things like this happen, your heart expands, like you become more kind, you become more conscious, but it doesn't mean that they have to always be perfect either, you know? And that's just the way it is.
You know what, Brooke's taking over. I think she's taking this older sibling now. She was a male child, right? She's taking this older sibling to Brayden, like very seriously. Like she's trying, like Benji and Brookie were best friends and she would go to him and talk to him and he would give her advice. And so I think she's really trying to take over that role for Brayden, and you know what I mean, that's where she's putting her focus.
Yeah.
Which breaks my heart.
Oh,
and so are
sad.
her friends.
Like you appreciate her and her resiliency and what she's doing, and that she's taking this and like taking a strength from it, but at the same time you're like, you shouldn't have had to.
You should have to. I know. None of us should have to be here, right?
Right. None of us should.
The good thing with the kids is like, you know, this is their sibling and they're gonna grow and they're gonna like always hold on to their siblings, but it's like they're gonna still have their lives, you know. That's the beauty of it, right?
Yeah.
I think like us four, like as parents, like it's not to say that they're not going to carry it forever. Absolutely they will, but it's just in a different way, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, like sometimes I get overwhelmed with thinking like, oh, Bella's going to feel what I feel, and it's just not the truth, you know what I mean? Like she's going to have a beautiful life, of course, you know, and become a beautiful person and have a family and go on, where it's like, you know, Ryan, you two, it's like that this is going to be our weight forever, you know, like that absence is always going to be there.
Yeah.
Bella won an award recently.
Yeah.
She got the Beacon of Hope Award.
Yeah.
I know.
That's phenomenal.
Oh man, the principal called me and I fucking bawled the whole time. We're just having a moment, man.
But like it shows you that they're persevering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're teaching us, aren't they?
Oh,
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
Brayden plays hockey. Brayden's a single-A hockey player, and they gave him, he was captain a couple of years ago, and he wasn't captain last year, and he gave it to him this year. And I don't think he gave it to him because of this. I think Brayden is,
He earned it.
Brayden earns it on the ice.
He didn't want it last year. It was too much pressure for him, which is why he...
Right, so they took away the he's like, you wear the C, that's it. But he, you know what I mean, in everything he's doing, he takes all his anger, his sadness, and when he gets on the
Puts
ice,
it there.
it's like people are in awe.
Thank God he has something a way to channel that, right? I think we all need a way.
We're finding like you with your right, and the podcast and this. Look, we're with the Benji Impact.
Somewhere to put your energy, right?
Right, and I think what I love about us four and why like you guys are so important to us is we're putting our energy into positive things, because there are things you can put your energy into that aren't healthy. Right?
I'm so glad to have you guys on here saying this, because that's the whole thing we're trying to put out here for people is there's a way to do it the right way, or a way that maybe there's a lot of right ways or wrong ways, but like find one that helps keep you, intact, whole. And
there are healthy ways and there are unhealthy ways of doing this, right? And there, again, like you said, like there are many paths, right? Many paths to healthy, and who am I like looking at to say like this is how you're healthy?
Yeah.
But I know it's not healthy, and I know
But that's usually the way it goes too.
Right,
for most people, right?
Right,
Yeah.
and that's why, frankly, we need you guys and love you guys because you're two people who, with us, are doing things in healthy ways, right? Which isn't always, it's never easy. Nothing's easy for us anymore. There's no such thing as easy.
No, everything's gonna be with a grain of pain to it now, for sure.
And a fight. Everything's going to be a fight. There's no such thing, I think, in our lives as not fighting.
Yeah, you said this to me the other day and it stuck. You were saying that there's like no such thing at this point. And I was like, of genuine strength. It's really just we can continue to fight.
Right.
And I love that, man. It's so true because like although we might appear strong, and a lot of people say like, oh, you're like even in the comments and stuff, they're like, oh, you're so strong, and I'm not. I'm really not. I'm broken inside, but I'm trying to fight. So.
And that's all we can do. And people will say, but that's the definition of strength is that you are fighting, and maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Yeah. But if anybody was to actually ask us, we would say, and I would say the exact same thing you did. I'm not strong.
Yeah.
I am like, you could think.
We didn't choose this, right?
Right. We didn't choose this, and we're broken inside, and we're not strong. But we're fighting. So
we're scrappy.
We're scrappy.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. We're scrappy. And
we're scrappy.
And we're just not going to give up because there's too much to not give up for.
Yeah. And our boys.
I was just going to say, and I know that's Benji would be livid if we gave up, if we didn't do everything we could for Brooke and Brayden and everything for Benji. Like, I know he would say, I didn't fight my whole life for you just
to roll over now.
Roll over and you want to have your days and your moments and your whatever.
Absolutely. You deserve them. You need them for sure.
Go do, but
get back up.
But get back up because,
don't slip away.
Guys.
I can
listen.
We could have gone two different ways, right? I could have
easily.
Listen, I could happily stay in bed all day.
It would be way easier.
I know it would be way easier.
At least it would feel that way.
Yeah, no, it does.
I'd be way happier, but I don't want to disappoint him, and I think that would be I think he would haunt me for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Like he would not.
And also, you'd be giving up on the kids that remain.
Yeah.
And think about for them now. Mom and dad didn't love me enough to be here for me too, right?
And it's not fair
That's
for them.
such a struggle.
They're going through a lot, and it's not fair for. Sure, Neal and I had we were watching his show the other day, and it ended, and the ending of the show was Benji's favorite song, and it was the last episode, and Neal and I are like. Bawling hysterically, and you could see they came downstairs and was kind of turned around and wanted to leave. And he was like, "I'm crying. You have to hug me." And he's like, no." So we have those. But
do you guys take those as signs when stuff like that happens? You know what I mean? Like, do you feel close to Benji?
I do. I never know.
In certain things, yes. Mm-hmm. There's certain, you know what I mean. That one was a sign. It's.
Sometimes you feel it like that was a sign, and it registers as such, right?
I feel everything is a sign.
Yeah.
Right. Not as much, but the day of Benji's funeral. Okay, Benji was a joker. Okay, he was a big, and everybody kept saying, "Did you see? Did you see? Did you see? Did we see what?" At the exit of the cemetery, there was a fat naked man.
Oh my god!
Like somebody got a video, it actually.
Just stayed.
You're not even joking.
Of the cemetery, it's really.
Or whatever.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you?
This is a crazy thing.
Everybody knows.
He sent it that way.
Everybody knows that he sent. Just
I'm all right. What a way to tell your parents you're all right from the other side. He's like, I got this.
And then
I got this.
I got this. Watch. Hold my beer.
Right. Hold my beer. This is not happening. I'm not all crying. I'm putting something in front of you.
Yeah. There was the weather was all over the place, and my brother had sent me a legit picture from the Weather Network, and the picture of how the rain was going was shaped as a penis.
Oh my god, yeah, these are the signs.
Right?
These are absolutely the signs.
They're irrefutable.
Oh yeah.
There's certain things that I know, Neal and I have our song, right? And you never hear it on the radio, and way back, recently after he had passed, when I was driving into the ceremony, it came on the radio. Like I've never heard it like ever on the radio. Like so, there's certain signs to me that I know
he's pulling through.
That
Absolutely.
I know that he's okay and he's you know what I mean. And I think his friends feel it, and I think everybody wants to do well and do what they're supposed to do for Benj. You know what I mean? Like, even if it's the boys taking a shot for Benj, like, we're gonna do it.
Of course. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
do you guys feel like this has made your faith? Like, some people would either steer away, get angry,
Good question.
turn away, or turn
Or lean in, yeah.
Well, this
And-
one's
a deep.
this one's a deep one. You go first.
I don't like when people say, you know what I mean, he was put on this earth only for 17 years and he did what he was supposed to. I don't like that.
Doesn't resonate with you.
That part, I don't think there's ever a reason that he had way more to do.
Yeah.
He had way more to do. Do I think right now, wherever he is, whichever higher power or whatever faith we have is going to keep him safe? Yeah, I do. I do. I don't think, you know what I mean? I think that...
Like the soul is unbreakable. Like it just always goes.
Yeah, I think that faith I have, that he's, wherever he is, he's safe and he's okay with where he is.
Yeah, he's
we
happy.
might not.
Yeah.
He's.
Listen, you wouldn't get the fat naked guy or the dick on the weather if he wasn't. That is 100%.
You know what I mean?
No
So
Yeah.
you know what I mean. You can hear all kinds of things. Like I said, and about what certain people would say. That I wouldn't give up my faith
Yes.
now because of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's my personal.
I know a lot of people for sure would be like, I just hate now, right? And like,
Well, you can get angry at God,
Yeah.
right? Or whatever you believe in, because it's like,
yeah.
essentially you feel like he took them, or,
Sure.
So
Right.
how about you, Neal?
There's a lot of things that I now believe with and have more faith in than I ever did. Like that there is life after. Like I always believed heaven, always, right? I'm not religious, but I do elements of the religion more as a superstition. I do them. But like there's no question to me now that there's more to
Something
this
more.
life. No question.
Yeah.
I've seen too many moments where Benji's coming in, or I felt Benji and Roman. Like there's two birds that sometimes fly through the cemetery when I'm there, and I just know that there's more there, that they're watching, that he's with us. Little resentful towards God, but I still pray every day. But I pray because I do in Judaism the mourner's kaddish, which is a prayer for Benji. So like I've thought about like why am I doing these prayers? Like, is it work? Like I prayed all my life, but I do it because I do it for him.
Yeah.
The only other thing I'll say is to me, I had this epiphany moment for myself that there's no reason why it happens. So I'm not going to believe like this was meant to be and this was for a reason. What I do believe though is that there's meaning in what happens next. So I don't know. I can't make sense of this happening, and I don't know that it happened for a reason or not.
It's bigger than us, man.
Bigger than us.
We're never gonna know why or.
But what is not bigger than us, what we have control of, is where do you go from there, right?
So true.
So we can go this way, get into bed, not do anything, or we can go this way, make sure the kids are taken care of, make sure his legacy lives on, save lives, not sleep on it and not sleep on him. And that's the route we're taking.
You're not letting him go in vain. You're making something amazing of it.
Right.
You're doing the best you can with what you got, right?
100%. And I do believe that God gives us choices. Like we have, I think God knows what we're going to choose, but he gives us free will to make choices, right?
Along the way.
So if that's true, there was multiple paths that maybe this could have gone, and whatever choices were made led to this. But now I got choices.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's, how about you guys?
I I go back and forth with it because, you know, we were there when Roman passed away, and we go back to that day where it's like, you know, things happened that day where, you know, like 10 minutes prior, Roman and I traded helmets, you know? And I'm like, that one simple thing, like, could that helmet have saved his life versus the helmet that he was wearing? Mind you, I gave him the better helmet, the newer helmet.
The brand new
and
one.
I wore the older helmet, you know, still into date, but
Everything goes through your mind.
It was literally like
everything
lined up for that. So I go really back and forth with fate. Like, sometimes I'm like, this was set in stone, and sometimes like, it's like, was it our choices that day too, you know? Like, so it's very hard to toss up. Like, right now I'm not in a place where I can. I do think like the way that our day worked out, it was gonna happen. It was gonna happen, and
so many things felt like it was coming, like in hindsight, right?
And,
it sucks, man, but
it does suck.
That I mean, from our thing too, it feels like that sometimes too, just based on all of his allergies and all of his close encounters.
It's like how many more chances were we gonna get?
Yeah.
How many more? You know,
that must have been so hard on you guys to like have been going through those things so many times.
You know, Benji,
you know?
even Braden, both kids can get sick. Both kids were asthmatic. They get sick very, very fast. They get and like to the point Braden's been in the ICU twice, and but as fast as they get sick is as fast as they get better. So whereas that first time we had to call the ambulance with Benji, and we had to epi him a bunch of times at home, he was like, they rushed him to sick kids. By the time he got to sick kids, they're like, why are you here? Right? Because he like turned
back.
That's crazy.
Like, so
He had his fill, and then now he's good again.
Like, he was dropped up, and there we go.
There's a number where you know,
Right? So it was like, you know, that was always the thing. You know, when everybody would come in rushing, I said, no, he's going to bounce. He always bounces, right? So even when this was all going on, you know, I'm thinking, he's gonna bounce.
Yeah.
He's gonna bounce.
We felt like that too. Like,
that's the thing. I couldn't give up that day either.
Even when we were trying to save Roman, we were like, oh, he's coming back, or he's
Just
coming, or like, you know, or like the EMS is gonna get here and he's gonna be saved, or then they're bringing him to the hospital, he's gonna be saved there, and it's like, you know, like Roman was gone already, you know, and
in hindsight we know that, but at the moment,
And being similar with Bella and what she's gone through, like, you've seen hospital visits.
oh man,
You know what it's like to, you know, that way. And it's hard, and you get scared, but then at the same time, because you just do it.
Yeah.
Right?
And you also don't think that this is gonna really happen to you, like, even
Doesn't
with
it?
all
No.
this, right? Like, it's like,
Never
you hear
thought.
people their kids passing, and like, I know it always tugged my heart for sure, like,
Of course.
but
But it happens in movies.
Yeah.
It happens on TV. It
exactly,
doesn't happen.
I know. So it's a hard reality, and even still to this day, like, I don't know if you guys have days where I'm like, this isn't real. Like, I still feel like he's gonna, you know, call me or come through that door, or you know, like, I'm gonna wake up from this nightmare, and so you guys feel similar.
Oh,
Yeah.
Is that a good thing though? Like, so
I know.
I feel that, like, to me, so I still feel like it's not real. Like, I know it is. Of course, I know it's real, and trust me, it hits. And there's certain times it hits harder than others where it's like real. But I like not feeling it as completely real, because it keeps me going.
It's like a barrier, right?
It just keeps me hopeful, and maybe it is because he's still here, and I feel his
believe that.
presence, and I know, like, yes, physically he's not, but that, honestly, if I didn't have that, I think I'd be lost.
Yeah, me too.
Honestly, I think reality isn't exactly what we think it is too. Like, if you can even have a feeling like you have had, where he's still there in some sense, then it's not really like what we think it is when we just get up and go to work and do our day-to-day stuff. There's a lot more to this.
A lot more.
For
and
sure.
This perspective that we have, and I kind of I go back, ignorance was bliss. I'd love to be ignorant again, because it would mean that...
What a blessing those years were.
Right.
I know.
Those were the best years of my life, the ignorant years.
No, until, at least I didn't know how blessed I was
In the
be
moments.
ignorant to all of that, and
Yeah.
but at the same time, I got this new appreciation and perspective for, like, just love, love, in that, like,
and living.
and living.
Yeah.
And when I get a moment with Brooke and Bray and with Lisa, and we have, like, I'm like I it doesn't go over my head now.
You take
No,
it in more,
yeah.
right?
Yep.
I've been finding myself like just saying like giving thanks and stuff for the love, knowing his love, knowing Roman's love.
Yeah.
I feel like now that I know, you know, life without it, like, fuck, was I ever lucky to have experienced that? Because there's not many people that can love you like your kid does, right?
Yeah.
Like just a wholehearted, like true love. Like you see it in their eyes and stuff. Like the way Roman would hug me and stuff. Oh my God! Like I'd come home and this kid could just fix any bad day I was having with just loving me like truly.
That
So
was my Benj.
yeah,
Same
that was
thing,
Roman
right?
too.
Benj was my guy. I'd always said it. He was of course, pain from the start, but he was a NICU baby. So I had said to Neal, they transferred him from Mount Sinai over to North York General in Toronto. And I looked at Neal, I'm like, this is my mama's boy.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm telling you now.
And there it was.
Do not, like, and you know what I mean? He always was. He always,
What a loss.
he always was.
I can
He
relate
would
with
stick
you on
up
that.
for me for anything.
Yeah.
And that I feel that often, like I know how much pain I'm in, and then we talked earlier, like it's different for the siblings and it's different for the
For
grandparents.
each of us.
I think it's different for a mom too,
I know. I always think that her pain is probably fucking even far worse than mine.
and I think the same.
Yeah.
I know how much pain I'm in.
Yeah,
but
which is
I
scary to
know
think, right?
As a mom and in your baby boy, like I just.
She had the exact same relationship with Roman that you just said about Benji. So it breaks my heart on another level, even further than that, right? To know what she's going through. And just
Me too. It's on a, that's right,
Yeah.
on a further level. Because
the
like,
next one up, it's like there's more levels to it.
we want to save the day. We want to make it all better. You can't.
Now you got a hand you can't fix.
Can't fix.
Yeah.
I've never had that in my life. Like I've always felt like I had control to be able to fix
Anything.
anything. Like it's, you know, some elbow grease, hard work, and
We'll get through it.
TLC, and we'll get through it. This one, no.
No, there's no getting through it. There's only just living with it now, you know?
Yeah. That's
And
what
like
we
you
got.
said, your choices from here on in.
And those matter though.
They do.
And those, and they can't fix it, but they can. Like I'll never be whole again.
No.
There's no chance. Like I'm not gonna speak for everybody, but I can't. I'll speak for myself. I will never be whole again. I know what 100% Neal was, and that ain't ever coming back. It just can't.
Yeah. There's no more being ignorant in any way for now. Like it's
No.
from now on, right?
No, it's never. But where I'm thankful, and I do thank God, is I think my like 70 is higher than a lot of people, so I can get back to 70, right? And that's what I gotta fight for.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stay over here. You go to say, I'm gonna stay over here. 50% at best.
So, but like.
You're resilient, Lisa, because
Oh, you are
honestly,
resilient,
yeah.
and we all are.
Yeah.
And I see with the Benji Impact and what you're doing, and when you start working on that, you go way beyond 70, my friend.
Do you want to chat about the Benji Impact a bit?
Yeah, we can talk about it a little bit.
Go for it.
I mean, I'll be quick on it. It's when he passed, almost that second, like even seeing him, it like we knew this can't be it. We got to do something to help breathe his breaths for him in the right and best ways to make sure this never happens again for anybody else. So out of that, we knew we wanted to do something. Came the Benji Impact, which is a charity. It's currently in the process of becoming a register. There's so much we're learning right now. It's incorporated now, and it's with the CRA going through whatever it has to go through to become a registered charity. Okay. And essentially the Benji Impact it's in Benji's name, but what we don't want it is to be like, you know, how do I put this? Like it's bigger than Benji. So like a lot of his friends will say, well, let's do this because Benji loved this. And it's like, yeah, but can we do it in a way that, you know, will appeal to everybody? Because if Benji loved something and only like 5 other people loved it, that's not what this is for. This is for if Benji loved something and did something that hundreds of other, like we want it to be for at large. And it's essentially a hub for anaphylaxis awareness, education, and know-how. know how to prevent, know how to watch things, know what to do if it happens, know things that can come up that nobody knows, and just be aware of it and change, like, you know, how initially we had said, like, the world wasn't ready.
Change that fact.
Change that fact.
You're gonna make it ready.
Make it ready. And we're working with, like, listen, we're doing this and we have love in this, and we're going to be relentless in our pursuit of it, but we're not experts in the field, and
you're learning as you go.
Learning as we go, but also we're going to work with, like, Food Allergy Canada, for example, who they have experts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or like with there's no ego here, right? Just the whole idea is to make the world a safer place for people with anaphylaxis and allergies, especially children, and just one step at a time.
Yeah, it's beautiful, man.
Yeah, and that's...
You're doing the world a service, you know, for...
It's already saved. Like, when Benji passed, all of a sudden you saw, like, medical alert bracelet sales.
Went up.
Skyrocket.
Wow.
All of Benji's friends who had allergies all started wearing medical alert bracelets.
Oh, man.
Like, and everybody put, like, you know what I mean? Like, I got mine and it says EpiPen, right? So instead of just Benadryl, anything like that, you have
straight to the the saving one, the one that'll save you if you need it,
straight
right?
to that.
Yeah.
So now it's like, listen, that's out there, right? So
Yeah.
Benji, without any of, like, us trying to help doing it, Benji did it.
Yeah.
Again, I hate how and
I know.
whatever, but that's where I think the choices come in, right? And that's what he wants. Like, if we could save a kid's life, like, that's who Benji
Even just
was.
one, man.
Yeah.
Even just one.
If all this effort puts one kid in a...
Yep.
And
you know.
he loved kids. He loved kids. Like, he just did. Any kid he could help. And I know Ro was the same. Like, I know Ro just loved human beings.
Oh, yeah.
And good human beings. And helping human beings. And that's how Benj was. So, like, yeah, even just one.
That's more than,
That's more than most people do ever.
That's another parent like you guys not having to go through it one time, you know, and you know what that's like. So.
Yeah.
We do. And so that's how, I forgot what the question was, but
No,
The impact. Yeah.
Anyway, so
That's the impact.
That's the impact.
That's
Yeah.
And,
Impactful, I know.
and it's, you know, it's going to be great. Like, we get overwhelmed with it at times. I've talked to you about this because everybody wants to do something now, and it's beautiful.
I know I want to help you guys.
But
We do actually.
But
yeah.
and it's a lot. Like, it's also like there is a fear, I guess, from me. I don't know if it's from you, that, like, that I'm not going to do him proud. Like, that I'm going to let everybody down, especially him. That, like, I can't make this thing what I know it needs to be. So, like, you know, there's a complexity in that makes it real tough sometimes.
And you guys are doing this during the hardest time of your life. You're a new venture, a big one, right?
It's a lot.
That's a lot, man.
But, you know, like, and it's no different than, like, again, the video and trying to take up something that you know and you're doing good, like
Channeling your kind of...
channeling your strength. Like the video you took up the video, like, hobby.
Yeah.
And part of what you're using it for is this podcast, which is going to save lives too.
Yeah.
Save lives.
We have the same feeling. Like, we just want to help. Like, one person would be enough for us too.
And
you know?
you've already, like,
Yeah.
I've seen some of the comments on this podcast and people saying, and people are reaching out to you that have been through it, like, you know, you've healed me even just for a day.
Yeah.
Right? Anyways, it's all,
That's the idea.
but that's, I mean, I think we're all special to be able to do what we're doing at a time where all we want to do is nothing.
Man, you have to really tap in to get to be able to do this kind of stuff in these kind of times, right? It is special. It's not something easy. That, like, if you want to say we're strong, I guess this is the strength right here, kind of manifesting itself. So
It's a testament to your character and your souls and your love for Benji, like your kids too, but like Benji especially, because it's like you're doing this in his honor, you know, and it's a big responsibility to have a child on the other side, because it's like you want them here with us still. So we're talking about them, we're doing things in their name and in their honor, and like honestly it's beautiful, because like you said, we could just crawl into bed and be like, you know what, I don't want to be a part of this world, you know, which I'm sure we all have days. I know I have lots of days like that, but I mean, for you guys to actually get up, do it, and and be there for Bray and Brooke, it's beautiful. So yeah.
And the same with Bill.
Yeah.
We might be the only parents out here doing the most with what we've been given.
No, I'm sure there's others.
Yeah, we're looking for them.
Just us four.
Yeah, we're the only ones out there. Feels like that.
Yeah, right.
Listen, everybody's different, and there's things that I know I'm personally not probably doing right either, or that I should be doing differently. But at least we're doing it with heart for our boys.
That's what it is, right? It's the love, yeah.
If you were going to, and I know we're both very early in this, and I don't know that we're the ones who should be giving other people advice, but like if you were anybody going through this, some thing to help them even just a little bit, what would, based on the past 5 months, 7 months, what would that be?
I would say find something to channel the energy in a positive way. It's like first and foremost, like, because all this stuff's gonna come to you, and like we were just saying, you're gonna have a choice. It can go to the bad way or it can go to the good way. And you found it with the Benji Impact. We found it with the podcast and trying to just put videos up that help people, self-help stuff. Yeah. So find something like that, and then also do something for yourself physically and mentally, like both. So it's like 3 categories even. Something for your mind, something for your body, and then somewhere to put the energy.
For your soul.
For your soul, yeah, true.
That's what I feel like. It's like, this takes grit. There's nobody that can help you from this. Like, even having one another is so beautiful, but it's like, you got to do it inside of you, So, like, really digging deep on that soul level is what helps me, like the praying, the meditating, the, like, connecting to there's so much more, acknowledging those signs, I'm going to be honest, it's like leaning into myself mostly, because it's like I've always kind of not had, like, I've always leaned into myself, but now it's like do or die. That's literally how I feel.
Like figure it out now.
If not, I'm going to be a mess. I'm going to be a disaster. There's no more bullshit. That's just what it is, right? So I think, like, honestly, just hitting it like head on.
Well, and we're doing, like, all those things being said, doing all that still feels like living in hell.
Yeah. It doesn't
I can't imagine doing it the other way, where, it's all just going downhill. And
right. And
how long do you have? You're living on borrowed time then, right?
That's right.
Yeah. And how about you guys? What would you say?
I think feeling the feelings.
Yeah.
I think.
Not hiding from it.
Yeah. I think, for me, for sure, I was very, like, you didn't ever see me cry. Like, Neal's probably seen me cry a handful of times.
You packed it all away before this?
Always. Like, never. And I think you have to feel them. You have to feel them. You have to let them out, whether it's sadness or anger or yell and scream, or I think you really have to, and you have to do for you instead of having to, we're very big on doing for others, which I think is extremely important, but it can't be at the expense
of yourself,
of us.
This puts you in a place where you don't have that choice anymore too. You actually have to fix from within now, right?
Right. There is no choice.
Yeah.
I mean, there is, but
where it goes.
Is not where you want to be.
No.
For me, the biggest thing that destroyed me at first, which I've gotten over, but it took a lot of strength, and I don't know how I did, but it's that the guilt is normal, but also unwarranted. I don't know if unwarranted is the right word, but it's not. There was nothing we could have done. Like, and I, for the longest time, felt that guilt, and that's what kept me just down. Like I shouldn't have let him go to camp. I should have been more careful with him. He had these allergies. I knew about all that shit, and it just ate me and ate me and ate me. But it wasn't. Like, I was seeing a therapist, and that therapist, like, is like that. Everybody going through your situation feels that way.
Absolutely.
But no, right now, there's nothing that you could have done that would have changed it. Like, it's not. Like, what were you going to keep your kid, put him in a bubble?
No, you can't. That's not life, man.
So that, to me, was like my first hurdle.
Getting over the guilt type. And you still have waves of it, I'm sure.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
They come, I still go, and when I'm at the cemetery, I still say I'm sorry.
Yeah, I do that every day, man.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And but like
struggle.
I'm getting
Away from that.
in believing it more because it took a while, but like
you're still in the shell shock stages right here, right?
Well, that's what we were like when I went to one of these sessions. One of the things she said is she's like, you know, some people go through grieving and it's just grieving, meaning like, you know, somebody had died in a normal way or whatever normal way of dying is, but you're grieving. We are going through the trauma plus the grief.
PTSD for sure.
Right. Anyways. Yeah.
Was there any point in like your grieving process? Like for me, it was like I was on my couch for 3 months. Like I literally could not get up. I couldn't see anybody. I was just a mess. And then I had a point where it's like we went to Costa Rica and I had that like shift. Did you guys ever have a kind of shift? I know you guys went back to work around like a month out, or was there something that kind of shifted you out of like the deep, you know, that it's
a pivotal
deep,
moment,
but that like can't even breathe deep to.
I needed to be out.
You
I
needed
went
to be
back
out.
to work fast. I needed to be in a place where, not that people didn't know, but that wouldn't. I got them I'm sorry, like the first couple of days, and then it was
Just normal.
just normal.
Like you wanted to
at work.
occupy.
Lisa at work, like that was it, and you know what I mean. I needed that because, you know, we go to the grocery store, we go to anywhere we go. There's somebody there, and it's how you doing, and you know what I mean, and you know what I mean.
It can be overwhelming very quickly.
It's very overwhelming. So I needed, and being home for me, people will always come by. Like we have a revolving door. So I just I just needed to be in a space where I could, even if I was doing nothing at my desk, I just needed to be there.
Yeah.
I'm like you, like the Costa Rica. For me, like I just went to a room. It was because it was just last month. That helps me. I don't know. It's the sunshine. It's the nobody kind of knows you. It's the breathing in nature. But my like TSN turning point, like of like kind of when I started to change things, I was with Braden at a therapy session, and you could hear. So I was like sitting like, it wasn't very far, like the door was closed, but I could hear what they were saying, and I'm in the waiting room. And the therapist says to Braden something like, on a 1 to 10, like, how's your dad? And Braden said like 10 in terms of hurting. And then the therapist said, and a 1 to 10, how scary is he? Like, which I was like, how's he gonna answer that? Like, do I run now? So Braden goes, scary. 1. My dad isn't scary.
You're like, oh my
You're
god.
not that tough, Neal.
I'm not, like,
Like, wait, I'm at least a 3. Come on. Like,
right. Lisa's like a 10. But I'm not scary. But then he says he's not scary, he's just sad. And he goes every day and he cries every day, and I see him cry. And then Braden said, but how could he not? He lost his firstborn.
Oh.
man, these kids.
Right.
Man.
But I heard that and I'm like, I know he knows I'm sad, and it's okay for him to see I'm sad, but maybe I'm doing it too much. And again, maybe I'm doing it too much because it's bringing him down. And so then that's where I learned to compartmentalize, right?
Yeah.
Like when I go to the cemetery, that's my breakdown. Allow myself to feel it fully. Cry in front of him, sure, but not all like. Yeah,
The screaming cry.
The painful, like
The screaming.
out of your body
Right.
pain.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah.
So and it's.
I've got myself to like the cemetery. If I get hit with it there, I just go in the car and just
They're
fucking-
very similar to us. They go to the cemetery pretty much every day. I know, like, there's some times where it's like you miss it or whatever, but it's important for us.
One of us is there at
Every day.
least every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're the same.
Yeah,
So, I know some people can't,
Yeah.
right? So it can
For
go
sure.
very opposite where it's like they just can't go there. It's
I don't think there's a right or wrong either.
No.
You just gotta do.
I need it. I need.
Yeah.
I need to be there. I need to hug him. I need to.
No.
what about his room and stuff? Are you guys able to do that or?
His room is hot. You know what I mean? We don't. Neal goes in more just kind of walks in, walks
Take a look,
out.
yeah.
The other
Smell
day,
is good.
what was the occasion the other day?
When you were laying in there?
Was it 6 months?
Yeah.
I think it was the 6-month anniversary, and it was in. And I just went and lay on his bed, and I was like, the dogs came in in a moment.
Yeah.
But when I walk into his room, I see it all. So his room is actually harder than the cemetery.
Yeah.
Same. I've only been able to go in there like 3 times.
Yeah.
It's harder than the cemetery.
Very hard.
I used to do it more. Like when this first happened, I used to look at pictures more. I used to go into his room more often. I used to look at videos more. Because those were all breakdown moments, and I just did it. Like we would go to every night, cry ourselves to sleep. Every single night, and I would be looking at pictures. I don't do it as often anymore. And I feel guilty about it. Like today you had asked for pictures, right? And it was the first time in a bit, like I've gone through all my pictures. Like I made a Benji album, I used to look every day and I can't, but only because like, it brings me.
It stirs you.
Oh yeah, it's very hard. I find myself swiping away from the memories, you get on your phone.
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, lately. In the beginning I was the same way. Yeah.
Do you feel guilty?
Oh, every time. I'm just like, fuck. Like, when am I gonna start looking at these again? And I'm hoping I find some strength where I can just look at them and be like, oh, those were great moments. And I'm waiting for those times to come back, but they're not here right now.
And do you think we should feel? Because I do too. I
want to.
I want to too, and I do feel guilty as well. But I don't think we should feel guilty because it's not that we're not remembering them, and it's certainly not that we don't love them every freaking more every day. I don't know. For me, it's just like I know where it takes me, and it will destroy my whole day, which means that I can't give myself to.
That's important. If that's the case, then you can't. Right now, you're not ready for it.
That's right.
You need time, man.
Probably a day. Are you like that too, Lisa?
I look at them.
Yeah, me too.
You look at them.
Yeah.
I look at
You
them.
too?
First
Yeah.
thing I do, if I'm up
Yeah.
at 12 o'clock, I always go to the memories.
So I do a little bit.
I do every.
We have this over here, the digital one, and so I start my day. I come down, I light his candle, I pray for him. I come over here for a coffee, and I look at maybe 2 pictures. That's about what I can handle. Like 2 pictures, and then I walk away.
Right.
And then I start the day, and the rest of the day I try not to. I started swiping away from it and all that.
I'm like you. She's connected to our TV, so if you're not watching TV for long enough, the slideshow goes up.
Oh.
And I
don't know how to
lose
turn
it.
it.
Oh man.
I'm turning the TV off.
Yeah. That's tough.
But no, I
everybody's
like
different.
it. I like to look at those.
Yeah.
Remember those.
That's beautiful. I'm happy for you that you can feel that way right now. I really can't.
Or
And
blunt.
I too. I said to her yesterday, I'm like
Jealous even, yeah.
envious and like I admire that you're able to do it.
Yeah.
But again, everybody's.
Well, it's going to show that everybody's path is very different. Like we're all in the same pain, and we know that. Like it's it's not like.
It's important not to bite off more than you can chew, at least, right?
Well said.
Yeah.
I've
Do what you
said
can
that before.
with what
It's
you
like
got.
Yeah.
we're gonna feel this for the rest of our life. So it's like you don't need to feel it all in 1 minute. You're gonna feel it forever, But I don't know. And maybe that's like where the motherly thing comes in too. It's just like for myself, and I'm not saying that this isn't the case for you too, but it's just like my kids are like literally my whole world. That's all I've ever was for my kids. My career wrapped around my kids. Like day to day, that's it. So it's like I still want to consume myself with him, right? So it's just there's no right or wrong way to do it. It's just different.
1,000%.
Yeah, yeah,
1,000%.
yeah.
And it might be that motherly, like that we were talking, like again, it's not.
The pain is just different.
It's different.
It's different. It's well, even like for you guys, it's like the dad son thing. You know what I mean? Like
That's the other thing.
mama's boys,
First
yes, but
son,
like
right?
dad's son.
Yeah.
Man, for me, even the only son. So it's there's levels to it, and I say to him too when I'm praying to Roman. Sometimes I say like, look, I know you're a mama's boy and stuff, but we had that bond too, buddy. We were there. So I'm like, don't forget about me.
It's so funny. I do the same. Be with your mom. But like, we had fun too.
Yeah. Let's be honest.
Do you talk to Roman? Like have conversations?
Yeah.
With him?
Yeah, I think so. Not all the time. So the dreams, I get these every now and then. I get these dreams. I don't think they're dreams. I think they're like, I think he comes to me sometimes because like I get hit with this. Like he'll come in the most. One time I had a dream. Me and Amanda were fighting, and he would always intervene, like you said, with you too. And in my dream, I'm fighting with Amanda, and boom, out comes Roman. And he's like, "What's going on?" And then at first I don't even notice, right? And then as a couple seconds pass, like I'm like, "Wait a minute, whoa, this is a big moment," you know? And I just grab him and I hug him and yeah, and obviously I wake up because like it just brings me right out of it. But there's times when I feel like he comes to me or in some way and I have like these thought conversations or something with him, and they seem as real as anything else. So.
I love that.
I talk to Roman all day. I'm like, "Roman, this damn washing machine."
She talks like he's still here.
It's okay.
You know, like that's just how it is. I'll be like mopping the floor and be like, "The stupid dog, Roman," you know, or you know, it's just like he's just so part.
At the graveyard, you always say, "Okay, let's go home now."
I'll see him and then I'm like, "Hey, come on, Roman, get in the car with us. We're going home," you know? So I just treat it like he's here. And I don't know if that's good or bad for Bella because literally like I'm like, Roman would love that, or Roman, you know, it's just natural. Yeah. And then conversation-wise, like I know I've spoke to you about it, but like I dip into meditation and it's like I can almost get into these like, my body's just so relaxed, and then I get into these states where it's like visions or like flashes of things, and he shows me a lot. Like he shows me like I've had glimpses of what I would call heaven and like what he's doing. Like he was playing volleyball in the water one day. It was in a lake I've never ever seen in my life, and it was just like a flash of him having fun with other people. And like that one time with Benji even. So it's like I have these things and in my mind, like I don't bring them up. Like it's not something that I'm like, okay, I want to see Benji today, or I want to, you know, It just, they flash.
Right.
So I always feel like that's like him letting me know that he's okay. And when these things do happen, it's always very positive. It's always like, you'll understand, like I'm home, I'm happy. There was nothing you could have done. Like it's all reaffirmations of like, beautiful things, and it's all love. They always say they're happy, and they're always smiling ear to ear.
That I love.
Yeah.
That I believe, and that truly, I can't connect in that way.
It's tough.
It's tough, and I get scared when I even come close.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you shake yourself out of it probably.
I shake myself, I open my eyes.
That's what I mean. Even the dreams, I wake up and I wish I could I'm like, fuck, why didn't I just stay in that dream? I was with him for a moment, you know?
But
out of it.
I do know they're there.
Yeah.
You?
I'm waiting for him, Benji, to
Listen
come
up.
to me and do like, listen, just come to me and give me 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes, okay? Let me, like, I just need to see you. Just give me a hug. But
Not yet.
no.
Even her look, nope.
Yeah.
Yes.
I do that same thing all the time. I'm like, fuck, it's been like a month. Like, when are you coming back?
Have you guys
I've had a couple.
never had a dream or anything yet? No.
You had one, didn't you?
I had one, yeah. Okay, so I'll be... When I stopped taking Ativan to fall asleep, that's when I had it.
Oh, wow.
So
that's crazy.
It 100% all like, so it's like hit or miss, but yes. He was just there. It was there. It was in a hockey setting. Benji played hockey. He wasn't very good. Sorry, dude. But like he played. But like what was more important, like that's where I spent a lot of time with him because you know a teenage boy. I was like not cool enough. But like at hockey, I was driving there, whatever. So it was in that setting, and then it was in a school, like almost like a university auditorium style, where he was there, because this is the year that all of his buddies are going to university, right? So I connected with him then, but I get scared.
Mm-hmm. Did it feel different?
It
did, right?
Yeah, like it was wonderful and scary and sad and like everything all at once. But it felt different, and it felt more, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
A little bit more.
That's kind of how I've been using, like, to know or to think I know anyway, if this is like a dream or if this is something different. It's just by how it feels in that moment.
Do you guys keep Benji like in conversations? Like
All the time.
Yeah.
That we do.
We talk about Benji all the time.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. I don't want to pack Roman away either. I want him. He's my son, man. Like,
He's
that.
100%.
Like,
Absolutely.
I was talking with one of Benji's friends the other day. He's like, and he was struggling with something. I said, listen, Hudson, if it's like really whatever, I'm like, you can play the card.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, you know, Lisa, Benj would play this card for everything, wouldn't he? I said, yes, he would. He'd be like, I don't want to hang out with my friends. Play the card.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that. Like,
Yeah.
so we talk about him all the time, and especially all the stuff that he would do or not do, or, you know, we always will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We always
And
will.
I honestly think that like we have a force on the other side, you know, like they guide us and they work through us.
I
a
love
lot,
that.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I love that.
even his friends, like I like tell them, you know, like you got Benji on your team still, man. Like
Yeah.
he's up there rooting for you, and like you got an advantage more than any other person here, you know. So I mean, it's
And
a
I think
beautiful
they
thing.
know that.
Yeah,
I
that's
think they do
beautiful.
know that.
They do know that, I agree. And there is that superpower. And
There's a power, man. I think when your kid dies, you get some extra privilege in that connection there or something.
but I agree, it's horrible to say, like,
I know.
but it's true.
I just think it.
I
yeah.
agree, and even not only there to me, here it's like I just feel a protection that, like, I know he's
He's with you.
with me.